Hey, welcome back, options traders. Good morning, everyone. Well, this video is going to be a little bit different from ones we've done in the past, but trust me, there is a connection to options. And the question for today, would 16 Psyche solve financial problems? So this comes to us from some of the recent videos from the James Webb Telescope, and it shows 16 Psyche, which is one of the largest asteroids between Mars and Jupiter. And there's been some postings on the web, and you may have heard that this asteroid is loaded with so much gold, iron, and nickel that it's worth 100,000 quadrillion dollars. So it's only about 173 miles across at its widest point. So some people have speculated and saying, well, if it ever hit Earth, it would solve all financial problems, as everyone would be an instant billionaire. However, and this is the main point of this video, that this argument misses an important point that options traders miss every single day. What is it? Well, let's go find out more. As always, before we do, please be sure to click like and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated and helps to promote the channel. So again, here's 16 Psyche, was discovered by an Italian astronomer back in 1852, and he named it after the Greek goddess Psyche, which is goddess of the soul. And as you can imagine, that's where we get the word psych and psychology from. And because it was the 16th asteroid to be discovered, it's usually referred to as 16 Psyche. However, there are some articles on the web talking about the unbelievable valuation of 100,000 quadrillion dollars. So here's one that came across my desk, and it says, meet asteroid Psyche 16. This asteroid has so much gold, iron, and nickel that if it were brought to Earth, it will make everyone a billionaire. It is worth 10 quintillion dollars. Now, little side note, that's actually a mistake. If it's worth 100,000 quadrillion, it would be worth 100 quintillion. But no matter how you value it, it's worth a lot of money. But here's the real question. Would it solve all financial problems if it were to hit Earth and we divided the metals equally? Now again, you're probably wondering what this has to do with an options channel, but there are a lot of parallels. And the idea is that new traders forget that when something changes, whether it's the stock price or volatility or time, it sets wheels in motion where many things change. At a minimum, time changes, and that's going to change your delta, your gamma, and your theta. These Greek risk measures don't stay constant, and that's a similar mistake that's being made when people talk about the outrageous valuations of 16 Psyche. So for example, let's say that gold is roughly about $2,700 per ounce right now. Well, 100,000 quadrillion, this valuation of 16 Psyche, is based on the current supply on Earth. And they're just projecting that out and saying, with that same valuation, multiplied times that amount of gold, that's where they're coming up with the 100,000 quadrillion. However, and this is the big however, if so much gold arrived on Earth, valuations would change. What would change? Well, first of all, gold value plummets. So it wouldn't be worth 100,000 quadrillion dollars. So remember that all values are based on supply and demand. If everybody is in possession of lots and lots of gold bars, what's a gold bar worth? Everybody has one. In fact, not only does everybody have one gold bar, they've got lots of them. They're stacked up to their ceilings. Their yards are full of gold bars. They're actually becoming a hindrance. People are trying to give them away because they're just everywhere. And when that happens, gold isn't worth much at all. And so that's really the thing that people overlook. Now, there's another way we could come to the same idea with a little economics here with what's called the quantity theory of money. So this is from Milton Friedman, and basically what it says is if we have an amount of money floating around in the US, just like shares of stock, there's a fixed number at any given time. That's the supply of money. If we multiply it by what's called the velocity, how many times it changes hands, that has to equal the prices times the quantity. So P times Q is actually GDP. So it sounds confusing, but think about a very simple island economy. We have $100 floating around on this island. That's our supply of money. If I spend $100 on something and you spend $100 on something, and that's the only transactions that are done, the velocity is 2. We've had $100 change hands twice. So M times V would be 200, and therefore we know that the prices of whatever it is that we bought times the quantities would also have to be $200. So in the short run, the velocity of money and the quantity of money will stay reasonably fixed. So if we have a very big increase in the supply of money, guess what has to happen in order for this to balance? The price has to rise. And when the price rises, then the value of each dollar isn't worth as much. This is exactly what happened in Zimbabwe starting in about 2007 when the government dumped a whole bunch of currency trying to pay off debts and just rapidly increased the supply of money. And so what happens is that the value of each unit of currency falls. And that's why you end up with stuff like this. One note is equal to, get this, $100 trillion. So this is exactly the same argument when people say, wouldn't it be great if we could mine all of that gold from 16 Psyche? Well, you're just going to massively increase the supply of gold. This is why the government cannot print money and make everybody instant billionaires. In fact, everybody at this time was carrying multiple $100 trillion bills in their pocket just to buy a cup of coffee. This was basically worthless. And so there's a perfect example of a hyperinflation when you put too many dollars relative to the amount of goods in an economy. So again, this might seem confusing, but think about it like with a stock split. Let's say we have a stock trading for 100 and this company has 1 million shares outstanding. Well, the company can't issue another 1 million shares and expect to collect another $100 million. That's the problem that's going on with this 16 Psyche. They're just saying the current value is this, $100, and so if we just dump a whole bunch of shares onto the market, we can still get $100 per share. Well, you just simply can't. You've doubled the supply. That's exactly what happens in a stock split. They double the supply, and therefore the stock price gets cut in half. Exactly what we saw with the quantity theory of money. So I just thought this would be an interesting way to show how it's very easy to think that some little change, in this case, well, it'd be a big change if 16 Psyche actually hit Earth, and thinking that it would solve all financial problems. So you must remember that's a massive increase in the supply, and therefore other things will change. So just remember, as the stock price, volatility, and time change, so does your option. At a minimum, time is going to pass. So as each day passes, your option is changing. You're never holding the same option. You might have a certain delta, gamma, and theta today, but it will be different tomorrow, if for no other reason from the passage of time. But if you let the stock price change or volatility change on top of that, now you definitely don't have the same option. So just like with 16 Psyche, don't assume valuations in a vacuum. Be careful if you're trading options, but not sure how option values change. Otherwise, you'll fall for the trap of thinking that 16 Psyche would solve all financial problems. And for anyone who'd like to learn more about the arts and science of options trading, please check out the Alpha Trader course, Strategy Lab, and a Candlesticks and Technical Analysis course. You can find it all at optionsatoz.com. Also, please join us on Options A to Z's Facebook trading group, and you can find a link in the description below.